for the Manchester Global Women Club. I immediately said yes, because I think Morella's an incredible woman. We met through a friend of a friend who said, I think I know someone you need to go and have a coffee with. So I was like, great, okay. We met. We didn't even make it to a coffee, did we? We just had a glass of water. We were both so rushed. We had other appointments. And then we both went away and thought, I think I like the cut of her jib. I think that we can do something special together. Morella ended up ringing me up and saying, actually, can we have a conversation? Because I choose who I work with very carefully, as do I. And actually, I think we can come together and offer something really amazing that can really help the global women community. And that was when we came up with our media training day. I will come to that in just a moment. But because there's also a person here that I have, I suppose, worked with, kind of. We did a TV show. Heather, I'm looking at you. We're looking at you. And also because of what Tina spoke about with regards to the menopause, I thought I'd kind of link all that in together and then kind of wrap it by talking about the importance of pushing yourself out of your comfort zone when it comes to speaking in public. I actually do think that courses are great, and that's because I sell them. I sell courses in learning how to be a brilliant public speaker. And really what I teach is how to be yourself, and little tips and hacks that I've learned after 24 years in broadcasting, 23 of them with ITV on a national broadcaster. So let me go to the bit that's very sweary, and Heather's going to know right away what I'm going to show, because this is where Heather and I met. Let me just see if it's the right one. Okay. We did. Right. Now, let me just see if I can rewind this. I'm going to rewind it back to the beginning. You may not be able to see it properly. The reason I wanted to show this to you is to pick up on what Tina said. So I had to have a full hysterectomy in my mid-40s after a lifetime of endometriosis. Not something you really chat about. And I wasn't going to mention it when I was working on television, because I was told, if you mention the word menopause, no one will hire you. It will be career suicide. But I had to, because I was working in daytime TV and I was going to be off work for 6 weeks. And as Linda Robson so nicely put it when she asked me what I was going to, how are you going to tell people that you're going to be off for 6 weeks? I was like, I'm not going to tell anyone. It's my business, that I'm going to have a hysterectomy. And she said, sweetheart, you got to tell them something, or else everyone will think you've been fired. All right, okay. So I announced live on air that I was going to have a hysterectomy and I was going to be off work for 6 weeks. Then this tsunami followed of women just clamoring for information. This was back in 2016-17. The world was a very different place. I'd already written a #1 best-selling book, a Sunday Times #1 best-selling book. I already had worked as a journalist. I knew I could write. And I decided, right, I'm going to put all this information that people are clamoring for together in a book. So I wrote one of the first menopause books before it was sexy. And put it out there to the world. Now, the clip I'm going to show you now on my phone, like I say, you won't necessarily be able to see it all that well, but hopefully you'll hear it. The reason I wanted to show it to you was because it kind of tied in with what Tina was saying. I had actually started going through the menopause at 38. I started going through it super early, and obviously the hysterectomy tipped it over the edge. But little over a year, it might have not even been a full year later, I was invited to take part in a TV program that every single sane part of my body said, no, this is a really stupid idea. But there was this little part of me that thought, yeah, but what if? What if? And it was SAS Who Dares Wins. Now, I don't know if any of you have you ever heard of this program. It's the one where basically normal people are pushed so out of their comfort zone by 4 of the scariest men on the planet, and they're all former SAS officers. Heather Fisher and I. So Heather is an incredible rugby player who's played for England. We had never met before until this TV show. We were on the first show that allowed women, and we were on the first show that invited celebrities. So to swear, they fucking hated us. They hated us, and they made it really clear that they were very angry that women were going to be part of this show that they cared so much about. They did not want us there, and they definitely did not want celebrities. So they went above and beyond to make sure that any ideas that we might have had that we're going to be going to our Winnebago in between takes, and the producers will be sort of, I don't know, mopping us down with nice warm towels, that was not the case. What literally happened was we were told, yes, you've been accepted, but to go through some fairly rigorous physical test to make sure we were mentally, physically strong enough. The mental stuff came later. And then we were told to meet at the airport. We didn't know what part of the world we were flying to. You didn't know if it was hot, didn't know if it was cold, you didn't know what to pack. We just knew we were going to be away for at least a week. So we arrived, and we also didn't know who we were meeting. So we got there, and I can't even remember if we met on the flight. I mean, because you didn't know who you were looking out for. You did. Yeah, we think we met on the flight.
We were separate at the airport.
Yeah. And then we flew to Chile. So Chile in South America, into the Andes Mountains, where they took us up into the mountains. We had a couple of days to get used to altitude sickness, to acclimatize to that. It snows in the Andes, and it was super cold. This is what was our introduction to SAS Who Dares Wins. And the reason I want to share this with you is because I explain in the video why I said yes. And it does tie in a roundabout way to what Tina was talking about, to what Morella believes so strongly in, but also what it kind of epitomizes me. I felt this way my whole life in terms of why not give something a go? What's the worst that could happen? You could totally fail. You could completely mess it up. And then you just pick yourself up and start again. But doing this in middle age, going through the full throes of a surgical menopause, which is slightly different to a normal menopause, as in it happens really quickly and is very strong. I decided to take part in SAS Who Dares Wins. I'm going to put this up here. See there, it says, warning, this clip contains strong language. Right, brace yourself. This is what it was like. Can you hear it?
I want to use this opportunity as a woman of my age to try to push myself out of my comfort zone. To hopefully show that just because you're entering your middle age means you're halfway through, not halfway done.
Stay tight! Very important that you stay tight! 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 Tight!
Yeah, that was me. No.
I stand by what I said earlier.
What was funny was when I was invited to take part in the show, they'd never done it from a helicopter before. They'd done it off platforms, and they'd done it in various parts of the world. I think Morocco was one, and I think they'd done it in parts of South America, in the jungle. But this is the first time they decided to do it in South America, and it's no exaggeration to say it was around 3 stories high, wasn't it? It was a good 30 meters or so. Yeah, it was bloody awful. Yeah, and to give you a sort of context, we didn't know that was going to happen. We knew at some point the show would begin, but you didn't know when. Do you remember this? They put us in, they put us into, and you might think, what the hell's all this got to do with Global Woman? What it's got to do is letting yourself literally go along for the ride. In terms of all the things that we're so scared of, what if this happens, what if that happens, but what if? Actually, sometimes if you just let yourself go for the ride and go, do you know what, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I just need to know that I can handle this. And that's what Heather and I did. There was, how many of us? 10, 12, can't remember.
Yeah, 12.
Yeah, and we were put into this van, driven off. We all knew we were going to be abducted at some point, and we didn't know when it was going to happen. And we got taken to this deserted motel, which was literally like something out of a horror movie. And we were put in separate chalets. It was derelict. There was no one else staying there. It was just us. And none of us slept a wink because we all thought we were going to... Yeah, captured in the night. And then the next day put us in another van, and then we arrived at a lake, and they literally took all our belongings off of us. All your belongings. All I had on was a pair of trainers, my leggings, and what you saw there. And put bags over our heads, put us in a boat and set us off. When the boat arrived at the side of that lake, we were literally forced to march, turned round, bags whipped off. The helicopter arrived, and they told us, turn round, and we looked, and we saw Aunt Middleton falling backwards off this helicopter, and we all thought, shit. And that was how our experience began. I ended up being discharged with hypothermia a few days later. I became very ill on the top of a mountain that we had to abseil face down off of. So again, what's this got to do with Global Woman? Everything. I was 49 when I did that. I'm 55 now. And at the time, I was the oldest person ever to take part in it, and clearly I was the oldest woman ever to take part in it. I took part in something knowing I was going to fail. I did it knowing I was going to be probably the oldest there. Turns out I was. My nickname was Mum. Do you remember? I ended up becoming sort of the mother figure of the group. Heather and I became two of the closest friends there. I mean, look at us. Would you think that Heather and I would end up becoming busy mates? You know, Heather, do you remember you had to fight me? Don't even get us started. Luckily, we were put on the same team in terms of the boxing, because I cried all the way through it. But then we had to fight in this game of weird mud rugby. Anyway, and I was terrible at it. However, I picked up very quickly that actually Heather was the most vulnerable person there. And we would spend most of our time sitting in the open, long drop latrine toilets, chatting. They were the en-suites. Yeah, chatting, and you had. It was quite something else. But we'd be like whispering to each other, "Are you okay? I'm all right. I don't really know." Crying a little bit. Be all right. I think we can get through this. So yeah, I said yes to doing something that I knew I was going to fail in. I knew that I wasn't going to win. I knew I wasn't going to be physically strong enough. I was really curious to see how mentally strong I was when pushed to limits other people imposed on me. I've always known I was a really strong person. I moved to London literally with everything I owned in the backseat of my mum's old car and slept on floors, worked for free until I got a job in print journalism with zero contacts. Literally just, I mean, like I say, the internet wasn't invented then. So it was looking up. There was a book at the time that had all the contact details of print media. That was where I wanted to be, and ringing them up on a landline phone, and hustling and getting a job. So I knew that mentally I was really strong. The reason I'm sharing this with you is that actually putting yourself in a position where it is really highly likely that you will fail is actually one of the most empowering things that you do. It's why Tina did what she did today. You know, standing up here thinking, oh my God, I could make a right mess of this. But actually it's all right. We know what's the worst that could happen. Well, for me, the worst that could happen is you can get hypothermia and have to get carried off a mountain. But I've survived and it's all good. It's all good. Yeah. And so, the reason I wanted to share that story with you is, yes, you know me from TV, but all of us have, the tip of the iceberg is the bit that people know about us. The bit that you don't know about me is so long, so wide, and so deep in terms of the stuff that I have done. But you're all the same. And actually, if you don't put yourself into a position where you think, I could mess this up, I'm going to feel deeply uncomfortable, possibly very sweaty, and it could go horribly wrong. But the opportunity for growth that you're experiencing that is out of this world. So joining Global Woman is a huge part of that. And obviously the reason that Morel and I went from having a cup of water to a cup of tea to ending up putting our training session together is because we both feel really, really passionately about the same thing, about showing women that actually you do have the confidence within you to try to do hard things. We can do hard things. In my instance, I come together with Morella to do a television studio training day that I would really, really urge you to consider coming to join us. Our next one is in November. Is it the 21st? And what we show you is really, as Morella says, there are certain things that you can't read in a book. Of course, you can do courses. My courses are very good. You can do courses. They are very good. Of course, you can do courses on it. But with something like a TV studio training day, sometimes you need to just jump in the deep end and start to swim with amazing instructors like Morella and I, because we will show you how to think about things in a way you've never even considered it before. Even if you never end up wanting to appear on television, the lessons that you will learn by spending a full day with us, and it's hardcore, it's not quite SAS, but it's hardcore, because it's a 12-hour day, it is a long day, and we will show you everything you need to know to push yourself out of your comfort zone, to give it a go, even though you might completely mess it up. By the time you finish, and Tracy can back us up on this, you feel giddy, don't you? You feel so high with the fact that, oh my gosh, I've literally, sat on a and it's a proper TV studio. It's literally in Westminster, and it is on the same corridor as the BBC and Sky. And this is something we felt really strongly about. It has to be, this is not pretend, it has to be real. You're working with real crew, real cameras. If you can literally show up, we'll show you around, then we sit you down, and then bang, you're off. Because actually, you realize you're capable of so much more than you think you are. And then by the end, you're like this well-rounded, polished version of yourself. And then we finish with you are a guest on our podcast, which is a real podcast where we bring journalists in. You get to network with them, to meet with them. And then we would just put together some invigorating conversation, because now your comfort levels and your confidence levels are so high. You feel absolutely on par with these professional journalists who come to join us, and celebrities as well. We get celebrities involved. So that's kind of the reason why I'm here today, is to just talk to you about, obviously, really encouraging you to come and take part in our media training day. Even if, like, say, why do I want to go on TV? It's not really about that. It's about showing you that you're capable of so much more. Because, as Morella says, give a woman if you want a woman to feel empowered, give her a microphone. And then I was like, Morella, you're completely missing this bit. you need to give her a camera as well. You present yourselves to the world every day. You're holding your phone up. Morella's filming this on our phone. We are our own TV studio now. We are our own camera person, producer, and editor. And if you want to get ahead in business, you have to learn how to present yourself to the world. I did a masterclass yesterday evening with a different community that I also do a little bit of work with. And really, it was just showcasing to them that you have so much more power now than I ever did when I first came into the media. And I know we were talking about this earlier, Tina, weren't we? The fact that if you want to promote your business in any kind of way, you have this free thing that is in your hand. Literally, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, Threads, X, formerly Twitter. Only join that if you're feeling particularly robust. YouTube. You have all these different platforms, but if you don't know how to present yourself well, what you're up against is a world of people who literally don't care, and they're scrolling. But if you know how to present yourself, I show you basically how to capture an audience in 3 seconds, because that's as long as you've got before someone will scroll past you. Everything is encompassed in that very long day in the media TV studio media training day that we do. But it is so relevant across all parts of your business, whether you are standing with a microphone in front of a room full of people and you feel so chilled about it, because what's the worst that could happen? Everything. The worst that could happen is everything. Does it matter? Not really. It really doesn't matter. I've been publicly shamed on probably every platform that there is. I've been on the front pages of newspapers. I have been spoken about in international media. I have been literally embarrassed globally. And yet I still get up every day and do the same thing over and over again. Because at the end of the day, does it really matter? No. It doesn't. Am I still a good person trying to do good in the world? Am I still really brilliant at what I do? Yes. Then that really doesn't matter. So put your fear, really, you're not really afraid of failure, you're afraid of embarrassing yourselves. Put your fear of embarrassing yourselves to one side, because at some point you will embarrass yourself, and it's all okay.